Have you ever asked yourself what it feels like when the ground beneath an entire nation begins to crack? Not in a sudden explosion, but in silence, slowly, invisibly, like the rot that eats the roots of a tree before it finally falls. Brazil 2025, a country of vast forests, endless coastlines, and people filled with fire. And yet, a country staring into the abyss of its own future. The headlines speak of growth, but the streets whisper of hunger. The politicians smile on television, but the people's wallets grow thinner every day. And the question is no longer if collapse comes, it is when. In a crowded market in Rio de Janeiro, a woman named Luisa counts the coins in her hand. Last week, the money she carried was enough for rice, beans, and bread. Today she has to choose, rice or beans. Bread is no longer an option. Her son asks her why the prices keep changing. She tells him it's complicated, but deep inside, she knows it's not complicated. It's simple. The money is dying. She remembers her grandmother telling her stories about the 1980s. Years of hyperinflation, when salaries lost value before people could spend them. She remembers photographs of empty shelves, of people running to supermarkets the minute they got paid. And now she wonders, is history repeating itself? Her neighbor tells her to trust the government. Her cousin tells her to buy dollars. Her friend whispers, Bitcoin. But trust is fragile. And when money loses meaning, everything loses meaning. Brazil in 2025 stands on fragile ground. The economy staggers under the weight of debt, corruption, and promises never fulfilled. The currency, the Brazilian real, weakens with every global shock. Inflation is no longer a number on a chart. It's a reality felt at every market stall, at every gas station, in every empty fridge. Foreign investors hesitate. Capital flees. Confidence evaporates. But collapse is never just about economics. It is about the psychology of a people, because money, at its core, is not paper. It is belief. When belief erodes, society erodes. Contracts lose weight, savings become dust, dreams become debts. And Brazil is now caught in that dangerous spiral where reality and psychology feed each other. The numbers fall because trust falls, and trust falls because the numbers fall. Pause for a moment. Imagine waking up and realizing your hard work buys you less than yesterday. Imagine your savings dissolving while you sleep. Imagine your government promising solutions while your fridge grows emptier. This is not fiction. It's a mirror. Why should you care if you live thousands of miles away? Because Brazil is not just Brazil. It is a mirror of the global system. Every nation lives under the same pressure, debt that grows faster than growth itself, currencies tied to faith instead of value, leaders who speak of stability while standing on quicksand. The lesson is clear. Do not wait for collapse to prepare. Protect yourself, diversify, do not trust paper promises. Some turn to Bitcoin, calling it digital gold in a storm of inflation. Some turn to discipline, learning skills, building resilience, cutting waste. Some turn inward, strengthening mind and body so that no crisis can break them. Because collapse is not only an economic event, it is a human event, and resilience is the only shield. History has seen this before. In Weimar, Germany, a wheelbarrow of money bought a loaf of bread. In Argentina, generations watched their savings evaporate again and again. In Venezuela, paper money became so worthless that people used it to weave handbags. Brazil is not yet at that edge, but the shadow grows closer. And if the shadow falls, it will not fall slowly. It will fall all at once. The world must understand, collapse is not only economic. It is cultural. It is spiritual. When money loses value, morality often follows. Corruption thrives when desperation thrives. Crime rises when survival becomes uncertain. Trust between neighbors evaporates when every person is left to fend for themselves. And at the center of this storm lies a single truth. Collapse does not begin with empty shelves. It begins with empty hope. Stop for a second. Ask yourself, what would you do if your currency lost half its value in 1 year? What would you do if your salary no longer fed your family? What would you do if the system you trusted revealed itself as fragile illusion? Because this is not only about Brazil, it is about all of us. What if collapse is not a tragedy, but a revelation? What if the death of a currency is the death of illusion? What if the real collapse is not economic but psychological? The collapse of blind trust in fragile systems. Perhaps Brazil's crisis is not just its own. Perhaps it is a warning to the world. A whisper that says, this system is not eternal. This money is not eternal. Nothing built on illusions can last. Freedom does not come from comfort. It comes from clarity. And clarity only comes when illusions die. So what does this mean for you? It means you must become harder than the system you live in. It means discipline is no longer optional. It is survival. Learn to live with less. Learn to build with your own hands. Learn to invest in what endures. Knowledge, health, skills, community, assets that cannot be printed out of thin air. Because when illusions collapse, only reality remains. Imagine this. A man in São Paulo wakes up 5 years from now. His currency has collapsed. The banks are closed. The government announces a new beginning with a new money. But this man is calm. He is calm because he prepared. He saved in assets the government cannot touch. He learned skills no collapse can erase. He built discipline that no inflation can steal. He smiles, not because life is easy, but because he is stronger than the storm. This is not just his story. It can be yours. An economy can collapse. A nation can collapse. But a disciplined human being endures. Collapse is the fire. Discipline is the steel. When the fire burns, only steel remains. So the question is not whether Brazil collapses. The question is whether you are steel or ash. Brazil 2025 stands on the edge. Maybe it will fall. Maybe it will survive. But the deeper truth is this. Collapse is not a future event. It is already here, in small pieces, in every corner of the world. The storm is not coming. The storm is already above us. The only question left is simple. When the empire falls, when the money turns to dust, will you collapse with it? Or will you stand? Because in the end, nations fall the same way men do. First gradually, then suddenly. And perhaps the greatest tragedy is not collapse itself, but denial. The refusal to see the cracks until the walls already crumble. The refusal to prepare until there is nothing left to save. The refusal to adapt until survival demands it. Most people will close their eyes until the last moment, waiting for someone else to fix what cannot be fixed. But you do not have to be most people. You can choose clarity over illusion, preparation over complacency, strength over fragility. Collapse is the end for the unprepared, but for the disciplined, it is only the beginning of something new.